Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into this. Look, chances are you've actually already used artificial intelligence today. I mean, if you unlocked your smartphone with Face ID this morning, or maybe use Google Maps to dodge a huge traffic jam on your commute, or even just let Netflix automatically queue up your next binge watch, you're already interacting with AI. It is completely woven into the fabric of our daily lives, and honestly, a lot of times we don't even realize it's happening. But how does this technology actually work? Well, today we're going to completely demystify AI, removing way past the trendy buzzwords to really understand the engine under the hood, and most importantly, how you can grab the wheel. So, here is our quick roadmap for today. We're going to cover the foundations of artificial intelligence, then its evolution, the difference between sorting and creating, mastering prompt engineering, and finally, wrap up with responsible AI in education. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Foundations of Artificial Intelligence. At its core, the ultimate goal of AI is, well, it's actually surprisingly simple to state, even if it's unbelievably complex to build. It basically aims to replicate human cognition. We're talking about learning, recognizing patterns, and making decisions. And this is a really important distinction. This is totally different from simple automation. See, automation is a closed loop. It's just repeating a set process with the exact same inputs and outputs every single time. It just does what it's told. Artificial intelligence, though, it's dynamic. It learns, it adapts, and it actually improves over time. When AI interacts with new information, it tweaks its internal models so it can produce a much better outcome the next time around. So essentially, automation is a machine doing what it's told. AI is a machine learning how to do it better. So what actually makes all that learning possible? It rests on four foundational pillars. First up, we have data. This is the raw fuel. Without data, there is absolutely no AI. And just a quick heads up here. If your data is poor or incomplete, your AI's decisions are going to be fundamentally flawed right out of the gate. Second, we have algorithms. Think of this like the computational brain, or maybe like a recipe that takes all that raw data and turns it into intelligent insights. Third is compute. This is the raw heavy lifting, the massive servers and processing power required to run these incredibly complex models. And finally, we get to the output. That's your final prediction, score, or classification. So, raw fuel goes in, gets processed by the recipe using massive power, and boom, out comes your intelligent result. Moving right along to Section 2, the evolution of AI. Now, I know AI feels like it just exploded out of nowhere, but it's actually been evolving for decades. The birth of AI goes all the way back to 1956. We've seen major pop culture milestones along the way, like Deep Blue beating Garry Kasparov in chess in '97, and IBM Watson totally dominating Jeopardy back in 2011. But for a long time, the architecture of how AI processed language was, well, it was struggling. We used these things called recurrent neural networks, or RNNs, and they had really weak sequential memory. But the massive, crucial turning point on this timeline, that's 2017. That is the year the transformer architecture was introduced. This breakthrough is literally the engine behind the 2023 generative AI boom and all the modern educational integrations we're seeing leading into 2026. The transformer changed the entire game because it allowed AI to understand the context of words in a sentence all at once, instead of just one agonizing word at a time. You see, AI doesn't read words the way you and I do. It breaks them down into these smaller pieces called tokens. Historically, models had a relatively tiny context memory limit, meaning how much they could actually remember in one single conversation. A standard window used to be around 120,000 tokens, but today, 2 million tokens. 2 million. To put that massive capacity into perspective, modern models like Google's Gemini can process and remember multiple full-length books simultaneously, all in a single prompt. It's an absolute game changer for analyzing mountains of data in mere seconds. All right, Section 3, sorting versus creating. Understanding the difference between the two major branches of modern AI is absolutely key to making sure you're pulling the right tool from your toolbox. First, we have discriminative AI. This is the older, highly reliable form of AI that focuses on classification tasks. It looks at data and it sorts it. Like, is this email spam or not spam? Does this face match the phone owner? What movie should we recommend next? It categorizes. But then we have generative AI, and this is the revolution. Generative AI moves way beyond just classification into actual creation. Tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Gamma, Canva AI, and Notebook LM, they allow you to build rich, incredibly varied content. We're talking text, images, audio, even computer code, all directly from natural language prompts. You don't need to know how to code a single line. You literally just need to know how to talk to it. Which brings us to the really fun part, Section 4, Mastering Prompt Engineering. This is where you transition from being just a passive observer to the active director. So, what exactly is a prompt? Think of it like a steering wheel. It's the specific instruction, question, or input that guides this massive AI engine right towards your desired outcome. But just like driving a car, if you don't steer properly, you are going to crash. Common pitfalls include giving vague instructions, leaving out crucial context, trying to cram way too many tasks into one single prompt, or, and this is a big one, simply accepting the very first raw output the AI gives you without even trying to refine it. So, to avoid those crashes, we rely on frameworks. Structuring your boundaries is how you ensure high-quality outputs. Let's look at two highly effective frameworks. First up is the AIM framework, Actor, Input, Mission. It's super simple. You tell the AI who it is, you give it the data, and you tell it exactly what its mission is. Alternatively, you can use the RCAF framework, Role, Context, Ask, and Format. Give it a role, provide the background context, state your specific ask, and strictly define the format. So for example, you might say, act as an expert marketer, take this product launch context, and write a 3-point bulleted email. By forcing yourself to fill in these specific blanks, you guarantee absolute clarity for the AI. Once you've got those frameworks down, you unlock a whole advanced toolkit. Zero shot is basically just giving direct instruction for simple tasks. But one shot or few shot, that's where you provide 1 to 5 examples right in your prompt to show the AI the exact style or tone you're looking for. Then there's chain of thought. Oh, this one is brilliant. You literally just instruct the model to think through this step by step before answering. Adding that one simple phrase drastically improves the AI's logical and analytical accuracy because it forces the model to actually show its work. Finally, we have prompt chaining. This is where you break a massive, complex project into a sequence of steps. Like first you ask it to research, then in a new prompt you ask it to outline, then you draft, then you edit. Don't ask for the final polished product in step 1. And finally, Section 5, Responsible AI in Education. Okay, now that you have this incredible superpower, we really need to talk about applying it responsibly and effectively. Let's connect this technology to some tangible human benefits. According to a 2024 finding by McKinsey, implementing generative AI can save educators roughly 4 to 6 hours every single week. Think about that for a second. What could you do with an extra half a day every week? That is the real promise of AI. It's not about replacing humans. It's about freeing up our time for the high-value, creative, deeply human work that only we can do. When we look at this list of opportunities, things like lesson planning, presentation design, building rubrics, analyzing performance, or creating multimedia content, we see AI acting as an incredibly fast, highly capable assistant. It takes care of the heavy lifting. However, there's a massive caveat here. Active human oversight and verification are absolutely crucial. AI is highly prone to what we call hallucinations, which is really just a polite tech way of saying it will sometimes confidently invent facts that are entirely untrue. You're the expert, the AI is just the assistant. You've got to always verify the output. And that perfectly brings us to the ultimate golden rule of academic and professional integrity. AI should enhance learning rather than replace critical thinking. Look, responsible AI use means you are using it to brainstorm, to organize your thoughts, to refine your work, and to accelerate your workflow. It definitely does not mean using it to plagiarize, fabricate data, or become so over-dependent on it that your own skills start to atrophy. It's a tool for enhancement, not a replacement for your brain. So we've covered the foundations, we've traced its crazy rapid evolution, decoded the frameworks of prompt engineering, and established the ground rules for practical, responsible use. The engine is running, and the destination is entirely up to you. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Now that you hold the steering wheel, how are you going to use generative AI to elevate your work today? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and honestly, I cannot wait to see what you build.